Hi, I'm Regan White. Today I'd like to welcome you to the first in a series of tutorials on how to perform the basic tasks in Adobe Dreamweaver. We're going to be looking at setting up a site, first on the local machine and then on a remote server, and we'll be using the built-in FTP client that comes with Dreamweaver. The Dreamweaver model of keeping a copy of the files on your local machine and then syncing them with the remote testing or production server probably is the easiest way to work. It's certainly the most secure, so it's the workflow that we're going to follow. First of all, of course, you need a copy of Adobe Dreamweaver. You can download a free evaluation copy that's fully functional by going to the URL at the bottom of the screen. You'll need to register with a valid email address, but Adobe's pretty good about not sending you junk mail. So I'm going to assume that you've completed the download and installed the software correctly. Just a matter of double-clicking on the install file and then hitting yes, next, or continue until the program tells you it's done. The only configuration decision that you're probably going to have to make is it is going to ask you if you prefer a WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get, kind of a drag and drop environment, or if you would prefer to work in a code environment. For now, go ahead and select WYSIWYG. Let's go ahead and select the drag and drop interface. Later on you can change it back if you're more comfortable in code, but for right now, probably as a new user, the WYSIWYG environment will be easier to use. Current version of Adobe Dreamweaver CS4, I'm using CS3, but for the tutorial that we're doing today, there's not that much difference, and so either version will work. Once you've got the software properly installed, time to set up your first site. Dreamweaver will allow you to manage multiple sites on multiple different servers using multiple connection methods, using different programming methodologies and technologies. In my opinion, it's probably the most versatile development tool on the web. First, of course, you've got to open Dreamweaver. You will see, basically once it opens, you will see probably scenes similar to what you're looking at right now on the screen. First thing we want to do today is become familiar with the different areas of the program. You'll notice in the center of this large gray area, this is the main work area. This is where the files you're working on will actually be. Right now you're seeing a Getting Started menu. Most programs have this, and this one's actually pretty good. If you don't like it, you can check down here. You'll notice the box that says Don't Show Again. If you check that and then close or move on from this menu, the next time you start Dreamweaver, you will not see the Getting Started menu again. But for right now, we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it because it's actually very helpful. It has a lot of different tasks that you can begin from this menu, and you don't have to go to the menu or toolbar or anything like that. So probably a good time to mention that if you're going to use a remote server to upload your files, you are going to need access to the server. You will need an FTP account that has read and write privileges. You'll also need a username and a password. That's piece of information number one. Piece of information number two, you're going to need the URL. That's the Uniform Resource Locator, the .com name that you got from GoDaddy or from Network Solutions, wherever you registered your website. You're going to need that URL. It's going to ask us when we start configuring the site. That way, when we start building automatic links, they'll be built correctly, and if you ever do move any of these files around, they will move and keep their links. So good time to, if you're going to upload a site, you'll need those pieces of information. Now, continue with our familiarization. In the middle, we still have our main document area. To the right, you'll notice that there are some drop-down smaller work areas. First one we're going to click on, up here it says CSS. That stands for Cascading Style Sheets. When we expand that, you'll notice currently it's grayed out. As we start adding style sheets to, or as we start adding attributes to the different HTML content we're going to put on this page, the attributes that we add will be found in this area. Currently, the model for formatting a web page is to keep the formatting information and the content separate. By that I mean, at one time we put tags in directly into the HTML code. It said bold, or it said font face, font color, things like that. Nowadays we don't do that. Nowadays it's a separate document called a cascading style sheet. The reason behind that is If you decide you don't like the look of your website for whatever reason, you can change the entire look. You can change every single thing about your website without ever touching the content. Basically, it makes formatting a site so much easier. Also, it ensures that every page in the site's got a uniform look, and that's very important stylistically. That's a style imperative, is that the pages all look the same, because that keeps your visitors aware that it's the same site. So style sheets are the way to go. Don't just stick in font tags and bold tags and heading tags, paragraph tags, and things like that. You want to keep this thing separated. You want to keep style and content completely separate. So first area to work in is style sheets. That won't be important to us right now. Second area that we're going to look at is application. Essentially, if you're building a site that has some sort of a database connection or some sort of automation, this is where you will set up the automated model. If you're using ASP, ASP.NET, JSP, PHP, whatever, you want to build a database connection, this is where it happens. Since this is a static HTML site we're building, we're going to skip past that. Tag inspector. Essentially, this allows you to enter the header information, the invisible information at the top of your website. You can set up, optimize your website for search engines. You can basically add information that no one else will see but you. This is where you do it. Finally, we have the file section. Now you'll notice I have a lot of files in my file section. Currently, we're looking at the local view of one of the websites that I support. And as you can see, there are quite a few files here. We've got directories. Anytime you see green directories, this is a local view. I can change that view from local to remote. It will connect to that web server, and now you'll notice the files have all changed color. The directories are tan or yellow. That means I'm looking at the corresponding directories on my remote server. So I can switch from remote view, the remote server, to local view. There's also a place in there for testing view. There's a testing server that you can use. It makes purple folders. I've never used it, so I'm not really that familiar with it. And then a map view, also don't use it, but when you click on it, basically what it does, it lays out your folder lists as a sitemap rather than as a group of folders. Anyway, best way to start is in local view. Okay, a couple more areas we want to look at down here where it says properties. When we add HTML features and structures to our document, if they have properties that can be set, you can set the properties in this window. Also, under results, there are various tests that you can run, diagnostics that you can run on your page, and this is where the results are displayed. You can search for things, you can find and replace, you can validate your HTML code, you can check browser compatibility, whether it works with IE 6 or 5 or Firefox or Opera or whatever. You can check your links to see if they're valid. You can check and see what your FTP activity's been. All sorts of tests that you can run, and the results will be displayed in this little results area down here. So that's pretty much everything you're going to want to know about Dreamweaver. The controls up here, the toolbar allows us to add different HTML components, and then the regular menu, I will leave that for another tutorial.